Welcome back, everybody. I am glad you're here. Here we are again with the Colt. I think this is part 7. Now, look, I got to say right out of the gate, I am not trying to just milk videos out of this pistol. If you guys feel like, holy crap, this is a roller coaster, it's back and forth. Yeah, you're right. We're on this ride together. I'm just bringing you guys along with me. I know I have a whiplash from myself, so I understand. But hey, it makes for good videos, right? I want to bring you guys along with me and share the journey with trying to get this absolute disappointment of a pistol running properly. So let me go back and quickly recap. Basically, in part 5, I made some choices with this pistol after noticing the frame battering issue. And what we did there, a couple things that I really don't like to do. The first one, I installed an 18.5 pound recoil spring. Now, I'm not going to rehash that whole spring issue here, but essentially 16-pound springs are the right springs for 1911s, in my opinion. I think 18s really are kind of pointless unless you have some extenuating circumstance, i.e., the gun trying to blow itself to pieces. But, there's a lot of people who run them. They like them. Hey, you do you. I'm glad it's working for you, especially with like plus Ps. I don't do plus Ps. I hate them, actually. So I don't do that at all. But again, lots of people run 18.5s. You're welcome to do whatever you want. But basically, the name of the game was, we got to slow this slide down, man. Like, I got to stop this pistol from just beating itself to death. So we went with an 18.5 pound spring. The next thing we did was a recoil buffer. Now, I've said in the past, in my top 5 videos, I hate recoil buffers, and I have said, and I stand by this, you shouldn't put them in your pistols. But I had a big caveat in those videos, and I have another one now. I don't put them in pistols that I trust my life with. Now, if you have a range toy, and you're never planning on using that thing to defend yourself, buffer it up, man. Who cares, right? My only issue with buffers, well, I have 2 issues with buffers. One is they reduce the ability for the slide to go as far back as it needs to, and you start messing with timing, you start messing with reliability, and it's just you're kind of messing with the system, right? How this thing works. So that's the first thing I don't like. But the second thing I don't like is they frag. They blow up, and now your gun is rendered inoperable because it's jammed up with chunks of rubber, right? That happened to me. Again, I've rolled this picture into so many videos, but here it is again. That took me 2 hours of beating that gun apart with a rubber mallet to just chew past all that rubber. It was a nightmare. Thank God I wasn't having to defend myself, because I would have been absolutely boned. So I stand by what I said. Don't put buffers in your gun if you plan on using that to defend yourself with. Don't do it. However, buffers do their job. Right, I've said this in many videos, but I had a couple people calling me some sort of a hypocrite. I'm like, no, I'm actually very consistent on this topic. I'm saying if you're going to defend yourself with a gun, don't put buffers in it, because it might render that gun inoperable. And I've also said, look, buffers do their job. What do? They reduce the frame wear, the impact on the frame of your pistol. My problem with them is they create 2 problems after solving one, i.e., draw a straight line to, don't put them in your gun unless it's a range toy. So, and really, honestly, guys, that's what this Colt is. I would not carry this. No way. First of all, it's too nice. And if I had to use it, do you really want this ending up in a evidence locker? Heck no. But the other reason is, it has to wear a diaper. That's what I call buffers. I call them diapers. So that was my attempt at slowing down the frame wear, or really stopping it. I was hoping to stop it. Extra power recoil spring and a buffer. And, we went with that for a little bit. But then in part 6, if you guys remember, I basically just said this pistol's decommissioned. The issues just kept stacking and stacking and stacking. The real issue that caused me to say this pistol's decommissioned is the same sort of battering that was happening on the frame I noticed was happening back here on this back corner of the breech bolt, where the hammer rolls over, and it's actually on the slide bolt. What was happening, it was rolling over steel. it was creating this big burr, like this wave. And I had to go in there, round that off. And I was like, dude, I'm done. This pistol's made of peanut butter metal. I can't trust it. So that's where we left it. I was just super angry with it. I was frustrated. And frankly, I just needed to walk away from it. I had spent months trying to get one flippin' handgun to work right. And as much as I paid and all the pedigree that Colt has, it should have been better. It wasn't. There we go. In the meantime, I have been very busy on a lot of other things. And one of those things was developing a new hand load. So I've been shooting the same hand loads for, I don't even know how many years, a lot of years. That hand load is basically, for those of you who don't hand load, I'm going to explain some of this, but just bear with me because this is for the hand loaders, okay? Basically, I've been using a 200 grain Rainier Ballistics 451 diameter bullet, running 8.5 grains of accurate number 5, and that's been my hand load for a long time. I've run through somewhere around like 7,000 rounds of that stuff. I remember I bought 7,000 bullets of Rainier a long time ago. I just stocked up on them. And so basically, one of the projects I've been working on recently is a new hand load because I ran out. This is literally the last Rainier bullet that I have. My little boy found it under one of my chairs, so I missed one. And honestly, I'm excited to develop a new hand load because I was really tired of that load. For one, accurate number 5, if you guys don't know, that powder is hot doo-doo. It leaves like unburned powder granules all in your gun. Doesn't jam the gun up. I've never had a gun malfunction because of it. It's just, it sucks to clean. You got to get in there and like really brush out every little crevice, and it's just annoying. The other problem that I have with that load is the bullets. They are pointy. So I like a really round bullet profile, very old school. And, you know, these are fine. They've worked famously for me. However, I just don't like the pointy profile. So when I ran out of the Rainiers, I'm like, okay, good. Now I can get into a new hand load. And I wanted to build a hand load that was really old school. I'm not trying to make like a low recoil load. I'm just trying to make something that's a little bit more true to the OG 45s. So modern 45 ACP is a little bit hotter than the old school stuff. Using feet per second as a way to understand this, a lot of the modern 45 ACP is running somewhere around 850 and sometimes higher feet per second. And not the end of the world, but hey, it's a little spicy. And the reason they do that is manyfold, but one of them is to make sure that that 45 or that cartridge works in a lot of different guns. Because when the 45 was developed, it was developed for this gun. Well, now, I mean, gosh, how many 45 caliber guns are there? Some are real short and light and all sorts of stuff. And so that increase in pressure is to accommodate the variation of firearms in the marketplace. But you go back to like, late World War I, World War II, that era, 45 ACP was sitting somewhere around 780 to 800 feet per second. Now, that doesn't sound like a dramatic drop-off, but in terms of feel, it really feels different. If you've never had that drop-off of feet per second in a cartridge, it's like, wow, that's noticeable. So the new cartridge I developed, starting with the bullets, are Barry's bullets, which is a very nice bullet, I must say. I'm really happy with these. So they have the really nice round profile that I've been looking for, which is great. They're 230 grain. The stuff I've been shooting in hand loads has been 200 for a long time, but I wanted to go back to the old school 230 ball. And then also they're different because they are 4.52 diameter. Now, for those who don't know, essentially the way this works is this bullet is too big to fit in this barrel. See, if I tried to push it in this barrel, it don't fit. How does it go through there? Well, it's because it's lead, which is soft, wrapped in copper, which is soft. And when the explosion goes off, this guy buries itself in the rifling. And that's what, it grabs onto that rifling, or the rifling grabs onto it, spins it out the bore, it goes. So that extra thousandth of diameter over the 45 caliber bore makes it a nice tight fit to where it squeezes through that barrel and you got a nice accurate bullet. So these Rainiers and most 45 ACPs on the market are 4.51 diameter. I went with the 4.52s because, it's like it sounds. It's 1,000th bigger in diameter, so it's going to fit in that bore a little bit tighter. And this is really getting into like a match grade territory where you want a more accurate load. That's one of the things people tend to do is they up that bullet diameter just a little bit, fits a little bit tighter in there. So that's the first thing with this new hand load that I did, was going with a 4.52 bullet. The next was powder. I'm getting away from that accurate number 5. I still have some of it, but I despise it. So getting away from that, and I've really fallen in love with Tight Group. It is a fantastic powder, burns really clean. As you can see here, it says right on the bottle, a little goes a long way. And literally the idea with this powder is it's a little bit more volatile. That freaks some people out, doesn't me at all. Essentially, I'm using half the grains of powder with Tight Group that I was for accurate number 5. So the powder is just going much further, but man, it's a clean burning powder, really clean. And then the final thing that I did with this new hand load is I went with the OG overall length for the bullet. Now, if I go back to the original 1911 manual, it actually has some data in here for your cartridge for the 45 ACP. And the overall length in 1912, so this is like OG specs right here, was 1.266. Now, when you look at modern reloading manuals, they're much longer. I mean, by like 10 thousandths. I have one reloading manual where it's recommending 1.275. So, to me, if these guns are built to OG spec, like the old guns, right? If they're accurate, that means you want to be using the ammo that is designed for this gun, right? That's going to be it's going to function optimally. Well, now you not only have changes in pressures, but you have changes in overall length to once again accommodate a wider, array of firearms, and so they want to make sure their bullets work and everything. But unfortunately, I don't think that's the best choice for our guns for the 1911s. So this new bullet load, it is at 1.266, and I gotta say, it feeds these bullets so nice. You notice the difference. That little change by about 6 thousandths, 7 thousandths in overall length is dramatic. You wouldn't think so, but it's there. It's a real thing. Now, what does this have to do with the Colt? Well, two of the solves that we, tried to go with on this pistol to keep it from blowing itself to pieces was the heavier recoil spring and the recoil buffer. But the third thing we can do to affect this, and there's still more, we'll talk about those in another video, but the third thing we can do is ammo. Now, this thing's already got a heavy recoil spring. It's already wearing a diaper. So we got to keep accommodating this special little snowflake. But it worked out nicely because I wanted to develop a new hand load anyway, and here we are. And I got to say, guys, this load is a sweet shooting cartridge. It's like, I don't even know how to describe it, but it's like the first shot that I took with it was actually out of my Remington Rand copy, the new one. And the first shot, it was so light and different from everything else I'd been shooting. I went, oh crap, I got a squib. Like I automatically took the magazine out, racked the slide. I'm like, here we go. Like I was so instantly upset. No, there was no squib. That's just what it felt like. And I took the gun apart, looked down the back of the bore, and I'm like, there's no bullet stuck in there. I don't understand. So I threw it back in, ran the whole mag, and I'm like, what is this? It's so smooth. The feed is smooth. Like, it doesn't have as much smoke. The rounds, by the way, noticeably accurate. Like, when I'm really trying to bear down and get accuracy out of this gun, or any of these bullets are noticeably more accurate. But the biggest thing, man, is the recoil. So I thought, okay, I think we got something here. I think we're on to something. So I tried out a few mags in the Colt, and I gotta say, I think we may have solved this problem. Now, granted, the gun's not fixed. It's still wrong. It's still, like, jacked up that this pistol has to get all this special treatment just to do what it was designed to do. But it's exciting because now I feel comfortable enough to shoot it. So I took it out to the range the other day, and I ran 50 rounds through it. And I was really monitoring a couple things. One, I took some good slow-mo footage of the gun cycling, because we're starting to reach the point where it's like, okay, I have a heavier spring, so I'm reducing I'm reducing the slide velocity. I got a buffer, so I'm reducing the slide overall travel to the rear. Now I'm introducing slightly softer ammo, and what you can do is you start to introduce too many things like that, and now the gun won't cycle. So I was really concerned with how it's going to do, but guys, I got to tell you, you can see the footage for yourself. The gun shot beautifully. I was not getting a hard slam to the rear. It feels like it's timed just right. Everything's just really, there's a harmony happening with this particular gun. It feels great to shoot, really great to shoot. And I took the buffer out and inspected it post-shooting. It doesn't look like it's getting thrashed hard at all. So I got to say, I think we got a solution to where I can actually shoot this thing. Now, as part of this Colt update, you do notice as well that we've got some parts changes here. So if you remember, and you can see in the video, I had a flat mainspring housing. I had the Colt wide spur hammer on there, the old pre-war style hammer. And now I have back in the gun the parts that came with it. I put back in the hammer. I put back in the arched mainspring housing. And if you go back and watch my video that just came out a few days ago talking about arched mainspring housings versus flat, basically I'm kind of on an arched mainspring housing kick. And so I thought, well, let's just throw the original back in there. Now, I will say, I don't like this, but there's a nice fat gap between the mainspring housing and the grip safety, and these are the parts it came with. These are not modified in any way. It's not the end of the world, but it's pretty ghetto, if you ask me. Colt could do better. Yet another thing in the pile. So why did I change these parts back? Well, again, arched mainspring housing. I'm into that right now. But why did I go back with the hammer? Well, I'm kind of experimenting with a few things. So for one of the issues I was having was the hammer rust. And we talked about that. You can see it's still there for sure. It's also there on the face. So I'm working on a few things I don't really want to talk about just yet because I'm experimenting, but I'm trying to stop that, whatever's happening. And I didn't want to do that pre-war hammer. I wanted it to look like this. I wanted it to have that sort of, Series 70 Mark IV vibe. And so I'm working on that. But the other thing was the sear. I definitely did a significant amount of work on the relief cut on the sear to get this thing breaking nice and crispy. And I'm not going to lie, it feels beautiful. Like that is a near perfect trigger if there ever was one. I'm just going to test out the trigger weight for you guys so you can see it. And it is consistently right at, I don't know if you guys can see that, and it's like right at like 4.95, which to me is perfect. As long as it's crisp, there's no creep, the trigger actual shoe and bow is tight in there, which this one is. It's a very, very good fit. If all that's in place, that weight is perfect for me. I don't like ultralight triggers. That freaks me out. I don't like when I pull the gun up to shoot and I'm starting to do my press and it just goes off. I don't like that at all. The reason I went back with the old sear as well is because this hammer is its own thing. Colt they're just their own thing. And I know people are going to say, well, yeah, they're the right thing. No, they're not. This is weird. So it would not work with the Wilson sear that was in there that I had with the other Colt hammer. And what I was having happen was hammer follow. So you would let the slide down and the hammer would jump forward. It was not, basically the hammer was not being pushed back far enough with the slide going over the top of it. The bolt was not pushing it down far enough with the Wilson sear for it to engage. And so I was having consistent hammer follow. With the stock sear in there, it does its job. So I really spent a lot of time cleaning up that stock sear and make sure it feels right, and it does now. So anyway, it's it's got a lot of stock parts. Now, why didn't I put in the stock short trigger? Because it's garbage. It's horrible. I hate the way it looks. I hate the way it feels. It's super loose in there. And now this is a recipe, a combo that I've never done before, which is arched mainspring housing with a medium trigger. So I haven't shot it with this configuration yet, but so far, I got to say, this feels solid. It looks really nice too. I actually really, really love the way the gun looks. So anyway, those are some Colt updates. So I'm going to continue shooting it, not a super high volume, but we're only going to use those hand loads with this guy. I'm going to keep running the spring. I'm going to keep running the buffer. And I'm also going to spend more time with this hammer, see if that's going to settle down and do what I'm asking it to do. But as of right now, there may be hope for this Colt to actually be something that runs, right? The way I feel right now, especially looking at the slow-mo footage of this thing running, between the spring, the buffer, and the ammo, I don't see how the frame can continue to batter. Unless this thing has a Rockwell hardness of like 7. Honestly, guys, I don't see how it's possible that this issue could persist. I've slowed the slide down. It's got a diaper in there, and I'm using softer ammo. I don't know what else to do. If it batters at this point, it deserves to. But, yeah, I'm hopeful, though. I feel really good about this, actually. Really good. Watching that footage and just seeing how like the slide's not slamming to the rear really hard, and any impact it's getting is being absorbed by that buffer. So far, I'm happy. I'm happy, and it cycles great. I just wanted to make a video and share with you guys, hey, here's what's going on. This is what's going on with the Colt. And because look, I want this gun to be great. I really do. I want it to work. I want to be able to go out to the range and shoot it and just have a big stupid grin on my face while I do it. So there you go. Hope you guys enjoyed that. I'll update you again if things change, but as of right now, she's in business, she's working good, and we'll see how this goes in the future. All right, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you on the next one.